Hi, welcome to the channel. I am Garrett and thank you for spending some time with me today because in this video, we're talking about some design choices that I don't like. I think they're gonna ruin your home and I don't wanna see them in there. And if you have them, of course, I'm gonna share with you how to make them work. But now that you know, we can all avoid them. And the first design choice you should not be making for your home is a top-mounted kitchen sink. And on top of that, an inexpensive faucet. This is an area of your home where if you have to do an upgrade, if you're doing countertops or anything like that, you need to take the opportunity to upgrade. Obviously, if you have it in place, okay, that's fine. Like, you know, there's nothing wrong with it physically, just visually, there's something we could do better. So if you have solid surface countertops, even if you have tiled countertops, you can do an undermounted sink with them. And it just is more elevated. It just looks cleaner. It's more sleek when we don't have that little top edge of the sink sitting right there. And when we talk about a faucet on top of that, the faucet is a jewelry piece, okay? It's a statement, it's the necklace of the kitchen. And so I want it to be beautiful. I want something great there. Don't just get, you know, like a little plasticky thing that is like, okay, it functions, it works for now. Get something nice. Get like a oversized with a gooseneck faucet. Get something that is like a beautiful finish and material. That's a good place to splurge a little bit. When I'm working with a client, I'll always tell them like, hey, here's what would look good for hardware on the cabinetry. Let's find something affordable that's a good solid metal and will look pretty there. It doesn't have to be designer, but let's splurge a little bit on the faucet because that's something we really see. That's what we really use and people look at. And so I want it to be nice. Those are really good areas to do upgrades. So obviously if you have them, if you have a faucet already, like you could swap it out for something a little nicer and that's great. But if you have a top mounted kitchen sink, there may not be something you can do about that. And you could just prioritize getting something that's a little bit more efficient for you. Like I like one single kind of basin in the sink instead of it being divided, or you can get an extra deep sink, which I mean, that's just a game changer in a kitchen. Those are really beautiful details to add in. And if you can do an undermounted sink, it will improve the overall look and feel of the space. Any space that you are engaging with in a utilitarian space will always feel better if it's a little more upgraded, and it'll create more of an experience in that space instead of a chore. Now, while we're talking about kitchen design, let's talk about one of my biggest pet peeves of the design of all time that I don't like. I don't want to have in my home, and I don't recommend for anybody else because I like all of you, okay? Like I might recommend it for my enemies, but they're not here. They don't have taste. Anyway, that's beside the point. I don't like that kitchen vent hood, and you all know what I mean. The ones where they have the like the angled sides and angled front and a skinny little, you know, piece that comes up to cover the vent line. I hate those. I really don't like them. Now, they're not ugly. Like, let me just say that, right? Because a lot of people have them. They're very standard in homes. They're not ugly. They could just be so much better in place of that. Like, there's just so many different things you could do. I would rather see a vent hood that's a little more substantial and that has straight lines and sides on it. That way you don't get a dust buildup on them. That's just the reality of having a vent hood that's not completely vertical on all sides. So you may have to make a sacrifice if you want something that has that slanted look to it, a little bit more style to it, I guess. But the biggest trend for kitchen vent hood designs in 2026 is going to be, mark my words here, is going to be metal. Metal vent hoods, metal details that are built in, integrated into the kitchen space. And I really like this because there's pretty much a metal fabricator everywhere. Okay, like maybe you have somebody in town locally that you know, maybe you could look something up, there won't be someone too far away from you. And these metal vent hoods are essentially just metal that is bent into shape. And then, you know, maybe it has like a lip for screws or something in it, and that's that. I mean, I love it. I love it. They look so great. They look beautiful. They look expensive and luxurious. To have just like a simple square vent hood that is clean, is easy to take care of, and metal, like that's easy to wipe down too. But that's a really good place to upgrade your kitchen if you're looking to make a simple change. If you're like, yeah, I just don't like it and I want to swap something out, I want to do something different here, you don't have to redo your countertops and backsplash. You need to upgrade that vent hood that is giving me nightmares, and I can guarantee you it will look a little bit better. Speaking of upgrading your home and what changes you could make, that's a little bit customized to everybody, right? We don't all have the same house, and I love that for us. But sometimes you need a little bit of expert advice on your specific space, so you should get that by booking a one-on-one virtual call with me. You can use the link in the description box down below or go to intro.co/GarrettLeChic to book a one-on-one interior design consultation where you can show me your home and I can answer some of the difficult questions for you, and I can also just throw out some great design ideas that would really elevate your space that you may not have thought of. Another design idea that's bad. It's bad. I don't like it. It's bad. It's bad. It's bad. It's bad. It's ruining your home. And needs to be corrected is white ceiling paint. That's not real. White ceiling paint is not real. I mean, it exists. I don't know why it has to be like a pure white ceiling paint. I don't like that at all. And basically, what happens here, light reflects off of different surfaces in different ways. You have horizontal and vertical planes. Horizontal would be your ceiling and floor, vertical are all of the walls that surround it. And a lot of people will say like, oh, paint the ceiling in a bright white ceiling paint so that it reflects more light. Now, when it comes to paint, you have something called LRV, which is basically, it just means the amount of light that color reflects into the space. And when it comes to white paint, usually it's like in the 90s or high 80s. And so like pure white ceiling paint might be like 93, 94, as where something that's tinted a little bit might be 89. Like, it's not that big of a difference. You're not gonna get that much more light out of using a pure white ceiling paint. So I just don't like it. I don't believe in it. I want my ceilings to match the other white color in the room. So if I have white trim, the ceilings are going to match that white trim. If I have white walls, the ceilings are going to match the white walls, right? Like that just makes more sense to me. It's just easier, it's more consistent, and the tones are the same. And immediately, you know where I'm going with this. I don't wanna see a blue white and a yellow white because one is gonna look dingy and gross and the other is going to look dull and bland. I don't want to put those two together. I don't like that. It doesn't look good, and I don't care what anybody has to say about it. I am always going to just take my trim color and paint the ceiling in that. Now, if you're concerned about, I want more light reflected down into the room, you can go 2 shades lighter than that. You can do it at a 50% color match, and it'll be a little bit brighter than the trim, and that's fine. I don't think you need to. I think you can just take the same color and use it on the ceiling. As a matter of fact, if you've been here for a while, you know I love a painted ceiling. It's one of my favorite things in the world. So if you really want to push the boundaries, I'm gonna say like, let's just take whatever the wall color is and paint it on the ceiling. Like just go big, go do it all. I love it, I love that, I think it's great. I don't believe in white ceiling paint. I think it is not real. I think, I'm not gonna say it's a scam because like you're getting the paint. Like it's not a scam, it's just not, I don't get it. I don't get why it has to be a pure white. That's what doesn't make sense to me. So if you're gonna do ceiling paint and you're really set on that, okay, like have it color matched. In my opinion, you could probably just use a flat white paint that's color matched to whatever white you have in the space and use that instead for a more seamless look, for something that's a little bit smoother, for something a little bit more all-encompassing. And the whole point here is, your white ceiling should not be the biggest accent in the space. It should just blend in and feel intentional. So using a pure white paint on it just looks a little bit out of place and slightly crazy. The next design choice, and it is a choice, let's say that I don't like, and I don't think you need to put into your home, is stacked stone. I don't like it. I don't like stacked stone. I don't like it at all. There's only a few places where I think this actually works, makes sense, and looks good. Now, stacked stone, a lot of people like it because it's expensive. It's real stone. It's, you know, it's great. It's textured. It's got all of this. That's the problem. That is the problem. I don't like that because I don't want to have to clean it, okay? So we don't have an army of housekeepers here. Like, you know, we have to live in reality, so I don't want to have to clean that. I don't want to have to take care of it. Like, I'm trying to be realistic in my space. Something with texture will always build dust on it and will always have to be cleaned thoroughly. Like, you're gonna have to get the brush attachment on the vacuum. You may even have to scrub it down, all of this stuff. Like, I don't have the commitment to do that, and I don't think it looks good either. So that's also beside the point. Only place a stacked stone detail looks good is on a fireplace that is either mid-century or rustic. Mid-century because you get that texture, and they kind of, some of these mid-century spaces have like a brutalist inspiration where that rough edge stack stone looks really good, and I'll give them that. But in rustic spaces, you can also get that because it has a variation, it has like a natural sort of live edge. That, it makes sense, like I get it, you know, I can see that. But for me, I think there's other things we could do that would look just as good, if not better, and we don't have to sacrifice taking care of that material. I'm not saying if you have it to rip it all out. I've seen beautiful original mid-century homes that have this stack stone detail in it, and I'm like, that is the selling point. Like, that is the thing about this house. It is amazing. Like, it can always look good in an instance. I'm just not going to recommend you do that now. Leave it in the past. It was a trend. It can feel a little bit dated if used in the inappropriate space, but we don't need to add any more of it in today. The stack stone industry does not like me, because if it was me, it would be deleted. But that's beside the point. We don't have to do that today. We can do something much more elevated and beautiful. And speaking of making your home more elevated and beautiful, hi, how are you? Welcome to the channel. I'm Garrett. Please hit the subscribe button and join our GarrettLeChic design-loving community, because we would love to have you as a part of our GarrettLeChic family, where we post 2 videos a week at least, all about interior design and how to elevate and upgrade your home. So please take a moment and hit that subscribe button. I'd also greatly appreciate if everyone watching could give this video a like. Something else that I don't like to see and I don't want in your home, I think is kind of ruining the vibe, I don't like when I see it, is a faux rustic wood look floor. And the main problem I have with this is not that I don't like rustic design, because I do. I actually love that. It looks good, you know, like a cabin or like a cabin. But that's beside the point. I don't like this because it doesn't look like real wood to me. There is too much variation within the wood grain for this to be real. And that doesn't make sense to me. Also, I think it looks a little too busy for most homes because it pulls focus from everything that's going on. So let's unpack all of that. When you stain a wood floor dark, you do not get bright, light tones of wood right next to dark, rich, saturated tones of wood. That's not the way stain works. It may go on a little splotchy, it may go on a little uneven, but not like what you're seeing here. Wood does not stain like that. It's not real, it doesn't make any sense. That's not how wood really looks. And one of the reasons we see so much of this happening is that people will look at it and be like, oh, the tones of that floor are great because like I like that shade and it makes sense here and everything. But they don't realize that when you're picking things out and you're looking at an empty house picking things out, it's not going to look the same once you have furniture, once you have all of those things in that space. So when you look at something and you're like, that's a great detail, this is going to stand out, I want to see this, I want to see this, you make a space that is way too busy in those materials. Like, right, we have all of this wood, we're going to put a rug over it. Now the rug has a pattern, we're going to put a sofa, the sofa has a color, we're going to put accent cushions, we're going to put artwork, we're going to put drapes. Once you get all of these things in that space, the flooring just is way too busy. You always want things to be a little bit more pulled back than you think, whether that is in the tone or the graining of the wood floor or the color you're choosing for the wall, the veining on the stone or the countertops. Like, you need to pull back just a little bit, because once we add furnishings into that space, it's going to be busier and louder than you think it is. And that's where a lot of people get held back in the design process. They make some choices and now they don't know how to complete the look because they've pushed the boundaries a little too far in those choices, and they need to pull back a bit. Because at the end of the day, these are expensive renovations to do, and I don't want you to do the wrong thing and then have to go back and fix it, because then it was just more expensive than doing the really high-end thing in the first place, which you could have had. Another design choice that I do not like, I do not recommend, I do not appreciate is cabinetry and shelves that project out from walls, that stick out. Now in a kitchen, we can't get around that because we need cabinetry, and I like that. Now my dream kitchen, if I'm gonna design it, I'm gonna have a wall that like encases the cabinetry, because I just hate to see the side of a cabinet. Like maybe a kitchen island, fine, but like an upper cabinet, it doesn't bring me joy to see the side of that, right? And it's kind of the same thing with the vent hood. I want something that's really built in so I don't have to look at a big side of cabinetry. Maybe that's a problem I have, and I'll unpack that later, but that's beside the point. I don't like when we have things, cabinetry, shelves that just stick out of walls unnecessarily. So in a kitchen, okay, we may not get around it, but when you're decorating your house, you don't need to have things that are really deep that are hung on walls, that are mounted there, because it just doesn't feel normal. It doesn't feel right. When I'm looking at things to put on the walls, like artwork or sconces or something, artwork like this frame behind me is a particularly large frame. It may stick 3 inches out of the wall. And that's a lot for that. And that's kind of the most I want it to be. Most of the frames sit incredibly flush. Like this is maybe the depth of my finger. It's maybe an inch, right? So I want things that are just really close to the wall. When it comes to sconces, I'm gonna look for something that's like 6 inches. I might go for 8 inches if it's a really great fixture, but I also like something that's extra low profile there as well, because it just feels more natural. It doesn't feel like there's some big thing sticking out of the wall that I have to like duck and dive and dodge around. Now, if I have to mount something on a wall and it's going to project, I want that to extend all the way to the floor. I want to take it clear down the floor, or I'm going to have something underneath it that eliminates the feeling of it being, you know, sticking out of the wall. So if I'm doing sconces on a wall, I'm going to do sconces over a fireplace because the fireplace projects out of the wall. I'm going to mount the TV that sticks out of the wall with a light above it over a dresser, so it doesn't feel so obvious that it's there, that it's like projecting out of a wall. You don't want to be the person that mounts a shelf above their sofa and then hits their head at it. I mean, it's gonna hurt you when you hit your head on it, but we're all laughing and that's fun for us. Don't be that person. Don't have stuff that just like sticks out of the wall unnecessarily. It looks weird, it looks crazy, it looks out of balance, and I don't like seeing that because it's kind of holding back your entire design when you do something like that. Now that we talked about some design choices you should absolutely avoid in your home because it's holding you back, let's talk about some materials you need to avoid. Be sure you check out that video right over here, and I will see you over there. Hey there, hi, welcome to the channel. Thanks for spending some time with me today because in this video, I'm sharing with you 10 things I would never put into my home, and I don't recommend you do either. Now, the first thing I would never put into my home, and as a matter of fact, when I see it in a home, it's like walk out of the door immediately, no, don't wanna live here, don't wanna be in this place, is slate tile. Now, there's a time and a place for slate tile, and it does look gorgeous when it's perfectly and immaculately kept and clean, which is very hard to do. Slate is a great material for outdoors. It's great for putting on a patio. It's great for an accent stone on your home. But inside, I don't love slate because it has a texture to it. And it's an organic material, but it's not like a smooth, ultra polished material like travertine or marble is. And I think it also is very style specific. Like, I honestly think slate to me says craftsman. So that's an instance where I see it working. Also remember that it's a dark material. And when you put something really dark on your floors, a couple of things are gonna happen. One, it's gonna absorb a lot of light. And maybe you want that, you wanna live in the cave energy, which I appreciate for you. I want my home to be light and bright and beautiful. So I wouldn't put a dark floor in my home. The other thing that always happens with a dark floor is that it shows everything. It shows all of the dust, any little bit of dog hair, whether it's from a Cavalier or another dog. Yes, it's gonna be all over the place, and you're gonna see it on a dark floor. So those are all things you have to think about and consider. Slate, for me, it's a no-go. I wouldn't put it into my home, and I've never recommended it to any of my clients that I've worked with, so I don't recommend you to put it in either. Another material I never suggest, I would never put into my home, and I don't typically recommend for other people, is actually concrete. Now, concrete is not a bad material in itself, okay? There's nothing wrong with it, and aesthetically, I do actually like concrete, and you can do a polished concrete floor. Great, you can do a polished concrete countertop. Wonderful. For me, unless we're really working on a tight budget or it just really makes sense for the design overall, I'm not going to recommend it. There are alternatives to that, tile that looks like concrete, that has the same texture, feel, finish, but doesn't have the downsides. And what are the downsides, you're probably asking? Well, polished concrete floors, what a lot of people don't understand is that your home shifts a little bit and moves, and sometimes you get hairline cracks in the slab of your home. That's not always a structural issue, but if you see that, you obviously want to have somebody out to look at it, right? Like a structural engineer to make sure your home isn't like cracking in half. But if you have polished concrete floors, you're going to see that. So even if it's not an issue, it will be an issue because you're going to be looking at it and seeing it there on the floor. I don't love that. Now with concrete countertops, the issue is that concrete is a very porous material, and it also isn't necessarily the strongest. Like, it can be damaged, but I know you're thinking like, but they use it on sidewalks and driveways and stuff. Yeah, but it's a little bit different. So you have to constantly be sealing the concrete in order to maintain it and keep it looking good. You know, maybe if you're building an outdoor kitchen, that's something to think about there, but I probably wouldn't suggest putting it into a kitchen unless the architectural style really calls for it. And quite frankly, I haven't yet had someone I'm working with who actually has a home that requires that. So it's not a conversation that typically happens, and it's not a material I typically suggest. Sometimes you will hear about a material or a product and you're thinking about it and you can't decide and you don't want to make a mistake and you're like, gosh, should I, shouldn't I? It's good to ask some people their opinions, whether that's your friends or people around you, family members. You want to get feedback on whatever you're thinking about doing, and so ask somebody. And if you don't have somebody you ask, or maybe you just don't trust the people around you, which design-wise and stylistically, let's be real, you may not, you could always ask a designer. Like me, you could always book a one-on-one interior decorating and design consultation with me where I can answer any and all of your questions. Be sure you head to the link in the description box down below or go to intro.co/GarrettLeChic to book that call, and I'll see you over there. Now, another material I never recommend putting into a home, and it's not because there's something wrong with it, you know, livability or quality-wise or whatever, it's just that it's not the vibe, okay? It's just not what we're doing, and that's glass tile. I don't love glass tile because it's very indicative of a certain time period, early 2000s, and that's just not what I want for your home. There's also a couple of things you have to know about glass tile. Repainting a wall, that's less of a commitment than tiling. So when you're thinking about a color scheme in your home and you're like, I'm committed to it, I want everything to be this, really think about whether or not you want those built-in elements to be that. And glass tile is one of the easiest places where you find a lot of those colors. If you like glass tile and you want it in your home, okay, I don't live there, I don't make the rules, you can do what you want and that's fine, but just remember, glass is clear. And this is an issue a lot of people had with glass tile because you can see through it and you can see the trowel lines from when the mortar was applied and the tile was installed. You have to be very, very careful when you install glass tile. Otherwise, you're going to see whatever's behind it, and that just kind of ruins the aesthetic. Like, you're looking at your beautiful glass tile that you put in, the accent, the detail, the aesthetic, whatever, and then you just see like the grooves and the trowel marks behind it. It's not really giving what needs to be given. Now, another material that's similar that I never recommend is onyx for a very similar reason. Onyx is a beautiful natural stone, and you can get it in slabs, and it is gorgeous. Gorgeous, don't get me wrong. It's like one of the highest end materials you could put into your home. But onyx is known for being opaque. You can see through it, and that gives us such a wonderful opportunity to backlight stone. Right? It's gorgeous, it's expensive. If you have ever been to a hotel, a bar, a restaurant where they have a backlit stone bar, it's onyx. There's a lot of like crystallized quartz in it or whatever. I'm not a scientist, okay? I didn't come up with how that stuff is made, but I do know the details. Onyx is beautiful, it's very expensive, but you can see through it. So if you're thinking about putting it in as a countertop, for example, you will see whatever substrate is underneath it. When countertops are installed, usually you have like a plywood board underneath it and then they get glued down. I don't want to look at my beautiful, expensive, high-end stone countertops and see the plywood and glue underneath it. It's just not giving or fulfilling the fantasy that I need, okay? Onyx is also a relatively delicate material. It's not the most durable stone out there, so it's probably not your best bet to go with. If you're looking for something high-end, I always say, go to a slab yard, go to the stone yard, have a look around and see what they have and fall in love with something beautiful. But let's just make sure it's something that's actually livable at the same time. Another material I just never suggest for anybody to put into their home is peel and stick. And I know peel and stick is very DIY-able, it's very accessible, a lot of people have access to it, but peel and stick is not meant to be permanent. It's a temporary thing, solution, whatever, because it's not going to last forever. And you can get peel and stick that's really good quality, and you can get peel and stick that is just very bad quality, okay? You may need to cover something up for a little bit. Peel and stick is an option for that. A lot of renters love peel and stick. because it is temporary. There's a few things you have to remember or be careful about when it comes to peel and stick. Number one, yeah, you can burn it. If you put it behind a cooktop, you can melt it because it's plastic, and that sometimes happens. So I don't recommend you do that. I would rather see you put, a real tile behind your cooktop rather than peel and stick. But, there's an answer for everybody. Here's the big thing though. Peel and stick usually leaves behind a sticky residue when you remove it. Whether it is a peel and stick wallpaper or tile, be it your backsplash or floor, whatever, it's something you have to remember if you're doing that like renter DIY friendly hack. We may need to apply something underneath it. Usually when I see people do this, they'll take like painter's tape and craft paper and tape the craft painter down and then put the peel and stick over top of it. That is an option, but it still is not always the right answer. And also check reviews of whatever product you're looking at to see what other people say if when they took it up, it left that sticky residue behind. Another material that I don't typically recommend is actually an 18 by 24 inch tile. And you're probably like, but that's not really a material, that's a size or a shape. Yeah, but I don't recommend it. I don't love it. And hello, hi there. You better be careful standing there like that. He has his paws on the back and armrest of this chair and his back legs on the sofa. Hi, hello. Arden is very agile. He's a little puppy, so he loves to be adventurous too. Did you want to come and say hello? Is that what you wanted? Okay, you need to take your own head back and I'm not gonna support it forever. Okay, you're so cute, Arden. Do you wanna come and sit in my lap or do you wanna go sit on the sofa again? Because you're not gonna stand there this entire time. Oh. Life of a cavalier, Dad. Okay, we were talking about the 18 by 24 inch tile. I don't love them just because of the proportions of it and the placement of it. Usually you see these on floors. Sometimes you'll see them like on the walls of a shower. I don't love them because I think either something smaller scale or a different size altogether is just better. And okay, let's just get into the scale portion of it because the scale of it is just big. These are oversized tiles. I don't love it because these have like a railroad track-like effect. Okay, they're linear. So whichever direction you lay them in, the room is going to look longer in that direction. And it's not that it looks bad. Like, sometimes these look really great and, hey, it's a good quality and the finish on it, everything is nice. It's just the proportions of it that I don't always love. I do like something that's a little smaller because it has less of that kind of railroad effect and it has more of a brick effect. I think that looks really good. But it's basically just a large subway tile, right? And there's nothing wrong with subway tile. It's actually a classic and timeless, and I really like that. But the oversized is not for me. Instead, I would opt for either a 12 by 12 or 18 by 18 inch tile laid at a 45-degree angle. I just think that's a way more timeless way to install it, to use it. And it doesn't matter what the material is actually or what you're going for. If you want that concrete look, okay, cool. Like lay it at a 45-degree angle. Who cares? You don't have to do a 18 by 24 inch tile. For me, I would opt for something a little more classic instead. Now, another material I never recommend, I don't suggest, I don't like, and I don't bring into my home is anything that is faux gold. And specifically a faux gold finish on a metal because it doesn't look real and it never holds up. When it comes to metal, don't get something that's like a fake gold painted looking brass thing because you're much better off going with authentic materials that actually look like what they are. So if you want metal in your home and you want the brass look, I would suggest going for brass. I know that's a little more expensive, but you get a little bit more quality. And that's what you want. So limit yourself and be sure you're looking for things that are genuine, authentic, noble materials. Okay, so it is what it looks like it is in your home. That's gonna send a luxury, high quality message, and it will be more durable in the long term. And we're at the point in the video where I have to mention this. I know everyone asks you all the time to join their subscriber community and hit the subscribe button, but I would greatly appreciate if you found value in my content in this video that you would take a moment, hit that button and join us, become a part of our LeChic family and help me out in our goal to reach 100,000 subscribers. We would absolutely love to have you as a part of our community. To me, a subscriber isn't a number, you are a part of our LeChic family. So please join us, hit that subscribe button, and I would greatly appreciate if everyone watching could give this video a like. Now, another material I never, ever recommend, I never suggest someone put into their home, I would never put it into my home, I don't recommend it for you, is a frise carpet. Wall-to-wall carpet is not my favorite thing, and it's not a lot of people's favorite things, but some people do love it, you know, specifically people that live in colder climates. And frise carpet is what you're gonna see from the builders, right? It's where it's a cut pile and it's like twisted up and it's all kind of like crazy little strands. That's frise. And the problem with frise is that it doesn't retain its, you know, volume, okay? It gets crushed as you walk on it. So very quickly, over a short amount of time, it will lose volume and get smushed and pressed down. Then it starts to get matted and tangled, and it just never looks as good as you think it will. It's difficult to clean. It doesn't stay looking good very long. And typically, it's recommended that it has a lifespan of about 5 to 7 years, and that's with regular yearly cleanings. So it is a relatively high maintenance item. What I recommend instead is a loop carpet. The reason I like a loop carpet better is because you can get them in a shorter pile and they have a little bit more resiliency. So they stay looking good a little bit longer. Also, they don't get tangled and matted quite as easily because there's not a bunch of loose threads in the carpet. Frise almost looks like static you would see on a TV, as where a loop carpet looks a little bit more like an area rug or a high-end carpet. It looks a little more expensive, even though it typically is not very much more expensive. It's definitely worth the upgrade in my opinion. If you're looking to put carpet in your home, I always recommend that you get the highest grade padding underneath as possible with a thinner carpet on top. That way you don't get that really compressed or smushed down look. It stays looking fresher a little bit longer, but it still feels very soft and very comfortable underfoot. Another material I never recommend anybody put into their home is mini stacked stone. This is stone that comes on that like 12 by 12 sheet, and it just looks like miniature versions of stacked stone. I don't love it. I think it looks a little dated personally. And what is there to say? I just don't like it. Okay, I just don't like it. I think it looks dated. It also tends to be a dust catcher, and you can't use this in certain areas. So some people will say like, oh, I love it. It was a big thing with like Tuscan design, right? People would put it on their backsplash. You can't grout this. You can't grout this, so all we have is a bunch of ledges and little things that stick out that are gonna get covered in grease and grime and dust and dirt. Disgusting. I don't like that, so I wouldn't recommend it. I also don't recommend it for a fireplace, for example, because it has the same effect as that carpet we just talked about, where it almost looks like static. It's just a lot of movement. It's a little bit too busy, in my opinion. I don't suggest that. Instead, there's a million other things you could do. If you want natural stone, look for a marble subway tile, you know, a tumbled travertine, that's great too. You could also just do something that's a simple subway tile. That's also really wonderful. Right now, these kind of like handmade looking square tiles are very in, they're very popular. They tend to be very neutral. So if you want something that's in that neutral realm that has a little bit of movement to it, that's a good option too. There's plenty of them out there, but this mini stack stone, I don't personally recommend because I think it's going to date your home. Also, it's just not really giving the fantasy that I think it needs to be given. I think you can do something that's a little bit more luxurious that tends to actually be a little bit cheaper. Another material, and probably one of them that I like the absolute least, I never recommend or suggest, but I am very good at fixing, I will be honest, is a gray floor. I don't like gray floors. I don't like gray floors because wood's not gray. Okay, wood's not gray, and I don't want to hear it from those of you that are like, oh, well, you know, on a boardwalk, the wood turns gray. Do I live on a boardwalk? No, I live in a house. And so I'm gonna opt for something that looks more natural. Even if you're not using a natural wood material, right? Like you can do a vinyl plank floor, that's fine. Don't do it in gray. Now, like I said, I'm very good at fixing them because color is really great to work with. And even if you have a gray looking wood floor, you usually have a taupe in it. Taupe is a variation of gray and brown. So we can pull a little bit of that taupe into the space, and then we can start layering in a little bit of a softer brown tone, more like a mid taupe brown, and then we can warm the space up that way. I don't love gray flooring, period, let alone a gray wood look floor, a wood look vinyl plank or tile. None of it. Don't do that in your home because it immediately looks dated. It's very difficult to decorate around, and your house is going to feel very cold. So on those overcast days, your house is gonna look pretty drab, okay? It's gonna look like a concrete prison cell. I don't wanna live in a prison, especially if I didn't do any crime to get there. But I also don't think you should do this because it's going to look a little bit dated. If you have it, that's fine. We can work with it. I'm not telling you have to rip it out. I'm telling you, you need someone on your side who knows how to use color to fix it. So like I said, check out that link in the description box down below or go to intro.co/GarrettLeChic. Well, there you have it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure you check out this video right here, all about things that are dated and back that you should absolutely keep in your home and not get rid of. And check out this video right up here, all about some haunted design that you should let go because it's holding your home back. I will see you either there or over there. No, and I will see you either there or over there. Hey there, hi, welcome to the channel. I am Garrett, and in this video, we are talking about decor you don't need in your home. And you know, I'm gonna keep it 100% honest with you because I'm in my villain era right now. And I'm gonna tell you what you don't need because all of your friends are thinking it, but they're just too nice to say it to you. And I'm not. So the first thing we're talking about that you don't need in your home is actually all of the extra throw pillows. And I know it's like, extra throw pillows? Like, what do you mean we don't need that? I know it's not groundbreaking, but for some people you need to hear this. You do not need to have a ton of throw pillows. This is not a throw pillow factory. This is not a throw pillow showroom. And unfortunately, this is not the throw pillow section at Home Goods, which I do love, but I don't live there. I don't live in a throw pillow showroom. So your home doesn't need to look like that. There's a finite amount of pillows you need to have. Throw pillows, accent pillows, accessory pillows, whatever. You know, on your sofa, 2, 3, 4 is kind of pushing it, but that's where you leave it. And on your bed, look at this bed right here in this picture. Okay, we have normal pillows in the back. We have one pillow turned on its corner, which is, I can't even talk about right now. I don't like that. And I feel is a personal attack on me, but we're moving on. We have a lumbar pillow in front of it, and then we have 2 extra throw pillows on either side. Where are you putting the pillows when you're actually going to bed? Like, are you just throwing them on the floor so now they're covered in dust and dirt and whatever is on your floor? Or do you have just like baskets sitting around and you're gonna have to have multiple with this many pillows? You don't have to have that many pillows. Less is more. It gets a little tacky. So I would rather see on a bed, if you want that really lush layered pillow look, give me some Euroshams, give me a couple of your normal pillows, and then a lumbar. Or, you know, have your normal pillows stacked up behind and a couple of square pillows with a lumbar. That's perfect. You could, like 4 throw pillows on the bed is the maximum, the absolute maximum you need. On my bed, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I have the pillows I sleep with, and I have a small lumbar pillow, and that's it. That's fine, that works. It's pretty, it's simple, it's clean, and it ties cohesively in with everything in my space. Now, if you are having an issue with your pillows and you're like, but Garrett, I need them all to match everything. No, you don't. What you need is a little bit of my help, and you can book a one-on-one consultation with me by using the link in the description box down below or going to intro.co/GarrettLeChic. Something else you don't need in your home, your life, or your house is, well, your home and your house are probably the same thing. So it doesn't matter. What you don't need are the extra branches. I know it was a big trend, okay? And we love a branch with, you know, some beautiful florals that are gonna bloom and whatever, but you don't need to have dead branches in your house. Okay, we could do better than that. We don't need to have dead branches. We don't need to have dead grass. I also don't want to see dead flowers either, like that dried floral, like what's that dusty bouquet sitting there for? Give me life, give me energy, give me excitement, some greenery, some color. And I don't necessarily think every single floral arrangement has to be real. I think you can layer in some faux, some real. Like for me, I like to have a lot of flowers in my house, so I'll have a faux arrangement here or there, but anywhere you're gonna be near the flowers, I want them to be real. That's just something to keep in mind. But you know, I don't think you need to have a bunch of branches. I think we've moved past that, and I think it also takes a large scale space to make that work, because then, you know, it's like having a giant tree in your house, right? It's just a lot of stuff happening. It kind of consumes the space. So if you've got a massive 2-story foyer, like you can go really big with an arrangement. But if you're living in a space that's a little bit tighter, a little bit more compact, you have that standardized ceiling height, you don't have to have, 3 feet of branches in your house. You could easily do a smaller arrangement that looks even more beautiful. And by going slightly smaller, you're going to make your space look even bigger. I think that's something great too. And there are certain styles and people that, are gonna love to have the branch and that's like their signature thing. And I think that's okay. Like I even work with some clients who are like, oh yeah, I have some branches here and there, whatever. And it works for them. And I think that's what you really have to look for. Say like, is this adding to my home and my style? Is it feeling right? Is it layering correctly? Or is it just giving like something is there? Like some big branches. Like I felt like I needed something large scale there. So I got a big dead branch and put it there. Like you don't need that in your life. I think there are so many better things you could do or look for. Actually right now what's very in is like a resurgence of that 80s like overwhelming kind of bouquet type floral arrangement. I like it. I think it's fun. I think it's a very statement piece, especially if you have a more minimal space or you're looking for something that makes a big statement, and you can easily get inspiration online for what you're looking for, take it to a florist, or, I actually like doing that on my own. I think it's a fun hobby to have, like arranging flowers. So you can source them, you can find them, you can do that and do something fun like that. And I think that's great too. There are lots of options out there that don't involve a bunch of dead branches in a vase. Speaking of options, you have a lot of them out there, and something you should execute the option on is subscribing and becoming a part of the LeChic family. You have made it this far in this video, so you know that I am 100% accurate and correct, and you agree with everything I'm saying, which is why, we're obviously vibing. You should join us, hit the subscribe button, become a part of the LeChic family, and give this video a like. It really helps us out as content creators a lot. Now that you have gotten it together and hit that subscribe button, let's talk about the next thing you don't need, and that is accent balls. I don't get what was with the accent balls. I was never really into it, and you know what I'm talking about. They're just like balls, and they're kind of like styled, or they've got some interesting thing happening, like they'll be carved out of wood, or they'll be a mosaic, or there's even like moss balls. I don't like them. I don't get it. I don't understand what the craze behind this was, or why people would think it's like necessary. I understand that it's like, oh, we have this big empty bowl, so let's put something in it, but why's it gotta be balls? And don't get me wrong, there's a time and a place for a good set of balls, but I just don't think in your decor is that place. So I would say, instead of having like balls in a vase, get a vase that just does whatever the balls are doing for you. And I think also if you like the moss balls, put together a moss arrangement. That's pretty, it's simple. It has a little bit more of that minimal luxury feel than like some balls in a jar or a vase. Like I never understood that. It was never for me. And I would see them there and be like, oh, look, there's some balls, and I would move past it. I don't think you need it. I don't think it's adding what you think it is. And I think it's unnecessary. I don't think it's serving a purpose. It doesn't, what is it doing for you, right? It's not giving us what it has no purpose. I don't know how better to say that than you don't need it because it's not doing anything for you. I would rather see, a decorative box of some sort that could actually provide you a little bit of storage. Get a decorative box like the one I have right here and put this on your coffee table, put your TV remotes in it and set coasters on top of it. That way, if someone wants to get to the remotes inside, they have to use a coaster first. I love that. And this one right here, I bought this at HomeGoods a couple of years ago. I actually found them online, and I will link them for you down below. It's this really pretty burl wood. And this is like a little tech accessory box. These are little muffler things for the lapel mic I use for filming videos. And I don't know, there's like a Velcro strap for it too. So that's convenient for me to have on my desk as I'm filming and getting ready for producing YouTube videos or content or whatever. So that's something that's actually very helpful for me, as where some balls in a vase, now I can't use the vase. I can't put flowers in it. I can't make an arrangement. What is it doing for you? I don't think you need that. I think there are way better options out there to enhance the space. I understand maybe there's something interesting, they have some detail you really like, or they're a color that you're using to tie things together. Just get a vase that color. Just get a vase in that material, or something that is a little bit more impactful or makes a little more sense than just something that is purely decorative and serves no purpose whatsoever in your home. Something you need to hear, you may not be prepared to hear it, but you will today and right now, is that you don't need to have fake flowers in your bathroom. I don't get it. I don't personally love fake flowers in the bathroom because, one, you can't clean them, and the bathroom is known for having bacteria, darling, that I don't want any involvement in. So I'm not gonna put something in there that's impossible to take care of, clean, sanitize, whatever. And I'm not putting fake flowers in there. Also, the fake flowers, why do they have to be in there? I feel like there are more useful things you could put into a bathroom that are beautiful and decorative, that give you that accessory feeling without it being fake flowers. Like, you could put a real floral arrangement in there. I think that's cool. You could put a live plant in there. That's great too. I guess you could put a fake plant in your bathroom also, but you know, it's kind of the same thing. It serves no purpose. So in a bathroom, if you have like 2 sinks, like a double vanity, between the sinks, I don't want to see a fake plant. I would rather see like a beautiful tray of some sort. You can put a his and hers fragrance there, hers and hers, his and his, whatever. Maybe you put your LED makeup mirror on that tray. You put some rolled up hand towels on it. Like, there are things you're using in a bathroom that can be made to be beautiful and useful. Or you could even do a little setup with like, you know, small jars that have like cotton pads and some Q-tips and useful things in them. I don't think you have to have things that make no sense. Why are you wasting space in your house with just stuff? Okay, I don't need to see it. I need usefulness in my home. Just like I said with a box like this, it's beautiful, it adds to my space, but it's useful. And that's what I want to see from decor. And there's also something to be said for collections. I collect a lot of things and I love to see them, or sculpture, artwork. That makes sense, but like, you're not going to convince me that the fake flowers in the bathroom is artwork. Like, it's not. It doesn't even look good, let alone like art. So I don't think you need to have that. I think there are other things that are way better in your space. It's just one of those things, like, you don't need it. Okay, you don't need it. Honestly, donate it to the thrift store, because you don't need it in your house, you don't need it in your home, you don't need it in your life or your bathroom. So be on the lookout for things that are actually useful and cleanable to put into a space that needs that. Something that I have in my home that I've recently realized I really don't need, and you don't either, are little dishes, little trays, little catchalls. And what really made me realize that is this tray here, this little dish. Okay, you know, I collect my Wedgwood pieces and I love them. This is a green one. And I was looking at it and I was like, oh, this is so interesting. And I saw these little cutouts on the side, and it made me realize that like most of these vintage little dishes and trays you're getting are ashtrays. Like, this used to be an ashtray. Like, that's what that's for. Like, a cigarette used to sit there. Someone was like smoking and they put their cigarette there. I don't like that. Okay. I love this, but I don't think you need to have these in your home. I don't think it's absolutely necessary because, one, I'm not using this for anything. Okay. It's just a little dish that sits there, and you could do something else. You could do something different. And also it used to be an ashtray. Like, I don't think anybody actually used this as an ashtray because it's too beautiful, but that's what it was intended for. Like, look at it, okay? This used to be an ashtray. Most of those little vintage Trinket dishes you're finding used to be that. Here's another one. She's a little dusty, forgive me for that, but this is something, I love all of these little trays that have like these Greco-Roman details on them, or like something classical. And so this is a really cool piece that I really love, but like, this was probably for cigars. Like, it's oversized, but the shape of this, like, that's perfect for setting a cigar in. Like, that's probably what this was. It was an ashtray. Like, it's beautiful, but it was probably an ashtray. Like, what am I using this for? Like, there's nothing in here. And I have another one right here that it has a paper clip in it. Like, what am I using them for? Nothing, because they were probably ashtrays to begin with. You don't need to have that in your house, in your life, if you don't want it. If it's something that's like, I collect this. I bought a lot of things that this was just included in. So I didn't intentionally buy this. I just got a really good deal on something else and they like threw this in for free. So that's why I basically have this, but you don't have to. Like, don't spend a ton of money on this. Like, it used to be an ashtray. It's not really serving any purpose. Maybe you need to have one ring dish in your house, like on your nightstand, by the sink in your bathroom. Okay, that's fine, but like, you don't have to have a ton of them. So be careful with what you're doing. And if it's not serving a purpose for you, if it has no usefulness to you, is it something you truly need? I like my decor to say something, to have a usefulness. Like, I would rather find a coffee table book that had that same color rather than something you're not going to use or take advantage of. Like, you don't have to have a ton of stuff absolutely everywhere unless it's something you truly, truly love that serves no purpose. You don't need to have it. Something else you don't need in your home are alcohol bottles on display. I don't like it. I don't like that. I don't think you need to have alcohol bottles on display because, one, I'm not impressed. Like, it doesn't matter how expensive it is or how nice it is or whatever. I don't care. So I also don't drink, but I don't care to see it. I don't think it looks great. I think it's something that's busy but unnecessary. So if you're that person that you like have a great bar and it's like lit bar behind you, or like it's a restaurant bar style that's like lit and everything, okay, that's cool. But you know, like, I think that's the exception to the rule. But like everybody else, you need to tuck it away. Like, we don't need to see it. And if you have like a beautiful bar cart, let's think about decanting some things, but I don't think you need to have it on display. It's not impressive. I don't like seeing it. It's a little bit busy. So I think there are better options out there. For me, if I was gonna have a bar in my home, which I'm not going to because my husband and I don't drink, but that's beside the point. If I was gonna have a bar in my home, it would be like a casement piece of furniture that has like a fold down, that tucks away, that I don't have to look at all of it all the time. There are some really, really great and creative bar cabinets out there that are really beautiful. And honestly, it's like I would probably buy one just to have the cabinet itself, not really caring about the actual bar, but like that's also beside the point. I don't think you need to have it on display. I don't like that. I would rather see the beautiful drink and glassware out on display, like because that's just what I like, but I don't think you need to have alcohol bottles on display. I think they could be tucked away, they could be put in a cabinet, and open the cabinet, set up your little bar station, like that's cute, but you don't need to see it all of the time. I think it can be put and tucked away, and I would even go as far as to say like wine bottles. I don't care about wine. I don't think a wine cellar is impressive, so I don't really want to see it. Like, if you have it, that's cool, and I think that's great, but like, I don't need to see it on display like, oh, she has so much wine, like, it's like, that's not impressive to me. So I would rather see something that's decorative and beautiful, that's simple and minimal, and that opens up and has something great in it, rather than having a ton of stuff on display. Because when you have a ton of stuff on display, it requires more work, more maintenance, more dusting, more care, and let me tell you what, you cannot clean a wine bottle rack. It's like almost impossible to get into all of the nooks and crannies and everything. So having that behind some doors will actually save you a lot of work, because you need to spend more time dusting and less time drinking, and that's for sure. And I know some alcohol companies, they like package their beverages beautifully and in really gorgeous bottles, but I would say unless those bottles are refillable, once you're done with them, we don't need to put them on display. You can replace them with another bottle and recycle that, and I think that's a better place for it than on display being empty. Or I guess you could decant something different into it, and so people think they're drinking something more expensive than they are. I think that's kind of funny, actually, but that's beside the point. I don't think you need to have empty alcohol bottles on display. I think that unless you're actually using it, you don't need to have it. Now that we talked about some home decor you definitely don't need in your space and in your life, let's talk about expensive design that you don't need because it doesn't look good. Be sure you check out this video right over here, and I will see you over there.